Welcome to the financial forecast chart of the day. Today is March 24 and we're going to analyze Netflix. So if we check Netflix at daily time frame, we have a movement to the downside started on at 419.47 and ending at 231.23. What is curious to see that all this movement to the downside was accompanied by higher than expected earnings, 0.85 with an estimate of 0.79, 0.89 with an estimate of 0.68, and the last one 0.30 with an estimate of 0.24. The coming earnings are expected at 0.58. What's really happening with Netflix if we're having earnings all the time higher than expected? So if we check, let's go to zoom the graphic. Netflix will grow for a long time. So we have a motor sequence that is already finished. And probably we are correcting this long-term movement to the upside. That's why, despite the fact of having this positive earning, these positive results for the company, we're still seeing movements to the downside. Let's go back. So what's happening now with Netflix? If we see, we are analyzing the current movement as the corrective sequence of the previous movement to the downside. So the market used to move in three wave sequence. Two of them are motor, one is corrective. So in this case, we are pretending that this first movement, this movement to the downside is a motor movement. If this is right, the corrective movement should behave in a specific way based on length, speed, and time. And the high probability area for this current movement of being a corrective sequence is here. So if we see, we have a high, Netflix created a high testing the key level of 379 and aligned to this ideal distribution for a corrective sequence. So what we can say now is there is more probabilities of this sequence being a corrective sequence than being a motor sequence that make these two waves an incomplete bearish pattern that needs to be confirmed. If the prices still keep below this level of 379 and break 264, then we have that confirmation in the daily time frame that the movement is going to new lows and this sequence is going to look this way: motor, corrective, and motor wave to the downside, creating new lows and correcting this long-term wave, long-term sequence that can be seen in the weekly or in the monthly time frame. Very important for this, stay below this 379. So let's go to check some values for Netflix. We check the pair. The pair is much more higher than the industry. That is pointing us that the value of the shares at this moment are overvalued. So that means that this is a giving place, giving room to a correction or to a decrease of the value of shares to trying to align with the industry. If we check the price to book, we see a much more higher number than the industry. Industry is 6.14, but Netflix is 30. That's pointing, that is telling us that it's an extreme positive sentiment about this company. So people really believe in Netflix and is at this moment extreme. And this is telling us that probably we could have some correction and trying to align the numbers with the industry. There is a high expectation at this moment with Netflix based on investor sentiment reflected in this price to book. If we move to the downside and we check the margin, for example, margin is more than 10 points lower than the industry. And if we just go to check the return of investment, by now it's lower than the industry, 7.16% versus 9.69, sorry. And in 5 years for Netflix 5.33 and the industry is 8.37. So numbers are telling us that there is more probability of continuing seeing corrective movements to align with the industry, reinforcing, giving more weight to this current scenario of being a corrective sequence of a higher degree motor wave to the upside can be seen in the weekly and monthly time frame. For this, we need to stay below 379. We shouldn't be breaking this level. What happens if we break this level? Then we should be continuing seeing movement to the upside. And in this case, moving or seeing Netflix in 526 to 658 based on the long-term wave. If not, we should be continuing seeing movements inside this non-trend area, and we need to go to the intraday time frame to detect earlier when the sequence is more bearish than sideways. And finally, at this time frame, the break of 264 is going to push Netflix to 207 and 158. Let's go to move to the weekly time frame. And let's go to zoom. And let's go to the log scale. To check where the movement is coming from. So we have a sequence started at 7.54 is the lowest number. So all this movement on this big sequence is a log scale, is the movement that potentially we could be correcting before starting a new sequence to the upside. But for this, let's go back to daily chart. For this, we need to stay below 379, this key level, and we already have this maximum in the high probability area, and we need to get some confirmation on intraday time frame. We are developing this new sequence to the downside, confirmed with a break of 264. That's all for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and until the next chart of the day.